That's all right.
Okay. Hello. And my name's Jenny Luscombe, and I'm an alternative health practitioner. I do quantum healing, EFT tapping, and the emotion code. And I do therapy sessions and I teach people how to do the inner work themselves. And I've just released a course called Free Therapy Forever, a crash course in sovereignty, self-healing, and self-mastery. If you're interested in any of that, then you can go to my website, JennyLuscombeEFT.co.uk/courses or /booking. So I'm here today with my friend Bob Eden, and he's decided to be a volunteer, or I could say a victim, or a volunteer.
Yay!
He's decided he wants to have a go at working with his fragmented aspects of consciousness. And it's quite difficult for me to encourage people to come on camera doing this kind of thing, because obviously it's quite deep and personal. But yeah, so we're going to be looking at two opposing parts of his consciousness, and I'm going to be helping him understand how he can use this process himself. And for anybody else that's watching, if you have two opposing belief systems in your body, in your thoughts, in your mind, this is a process that's really good for addictions, and it's really good for procrastination and self-sabotage. And anytime that people say, I feel really torn, we say it, we use our language to actually give ourselves the message of what's actually going on. There's a part of me wants to go this way, a part of me wants to go that way. So the reason that we have these opposing fragments of consciousness is because at different times of our life, we suppressed that aspect of us, but we also suppressed that aspect of us. So sometimes it doesn't make sense. We don't make sense to ourselves, and we don't know why we do some of the things that we do. And that's because when we were little and something was happening that we couldn't handle, or we were being something or doing something that we couldn't handle or that we couldn't process, we pushed those aspects of consciousness down so that we couldn't see them anymore. But that doesn't mean that they've gone anywhere. It just means that they're invisible to us. So this process that I'm going to be doing with Bob is about how to find those parts again and how to get them out and have a look at them and let them express themselves. And it really is as simple as that, because as soon as you allow the parts of yourself to express themselves that have been kind of invisible for a long time, that's literally all that they needed, was to come up for air, to be heard, to be seen, to be felt, to be sensed, to be witnessed, honored, all of that, loved. And Bob's very into healing by sharing our stories. So we're actually healing by sharing our own stories with ourselves, which is beautiful. And obviously, any alignment of our fragmented aspects of consciousness brings unity. And then if you get more unity and truth within yourself, you are then going to have more unity and truth outside of you. And that's physics. And you can't fight with physics. And that's just how it works. So I'll hand over to you, Bob, to just explain the situation that you want to focus on and kind of what your opposing parts are. And I'm going to make some notes while you're doing that. So when we're doing some tapping, I've got your words written down here that I can use for us to say it out loud. So yeah, over to you.
Okay. One thing that struck me, that's got absolutely nothing to do with what's to follow, is you have a crash course on healing, and I thought, oh God, I don't want to be involved in a crash. How about I have a loving, supportive, wholesome, friendly course on just going back to the power of words thing. But yeah, that was, that just came in from the universe. So it's something you might want to ponder. I am here today because I like trying new things. I know what I know and I know what I don't know, but I don't know what I don't know. And from the energy of the connection between us, I trust you, and everything you've shared so far really resonates with me. Although we're unique and have different truths. So at the moment in my life, I'm 71. I'm on a mission to eradicate suicide, and that's what gives me my zest for life. That's my total focus, really, other than my number one priority, which is my own well-being. And just noticing for the past many months that I have so many opportunities in my life for fun, joy, and growth, but something is holding me back. And in my own inner search, it goes back to my violent childhood, and mum was always beating me, therefore she does not love me, therefore I'm unlovable, and it's all my fault. So it's like there's an ingrained message that I am unworthy, and unworthy of a joyful life. And to extrapolate that, I am unworthy of life. So yeah, I've got all these wonderful opportunities around me to add to the bliss of my existence, but something is holding me back, and I don't like it. It's pissing me off. And it takes a lot to piss me off.
Okay. All right. So we need to kind of decide what these parts are. So to kind of define them. So this part of you that feels held back, like what do you want to call this part? I mean, you can literally, like, a lot of people just keep it really simple, and I know that you like to keep things simple. So some people say, you know, this one is forward, this part is forward, and then this part is back, you know, or, you know, sometimes people call the part pause, or, you know, how would you want to sort of refer to this part?
I think what immediately springs to heart, and I said to heart, not to mind, what immediately springs to heart is growth and decay.
Oh, that's a good, yeah, I've never had that one before. Growth and decay. Okay.
See, I'm original, a Bob original.
Okay. Right. So the part that's feeling held back is decay. So shall we start with that one, or would you rather start with the other one? It doesn't really matter which one we start with, because we're going to address both of them.
Yeah. Oh, God, it must have touched a nerve there.
Yeah, the yawning's happening already. So me and Bob
Yeah.
both know that yawning is
It's,
like a shift, an energy shift in the body. So it's not that he isn't bored yet, I hope.
yeah,
I quite often get clients yawn and then go, "Oh, I'm so sorry,"
yeah,
and feel like they shouldn't be yawning. But
yeah,
so just expressing that so far is getting something moving, Bob.
yeah. Um, let's get rid of the rotting carcass first. So let's go to decay and clean out the rotting goodies in the fridge, if you like.
Okay, so right, what I want you to do, Bob, is start tapping. So the necklace is in the way. So this point here, we're going to use some of the points later, but this one here is the central meridian point for like your whole system. So this is the thymus point, it's called. And sometimes people call that the point of the shaman. So the reason
That's
that
the top of the ribs.
just on the chest plate there, just kind of right in the center.
Oh,
Just really gently, just tap really gently there. So this, the tapping itself, not everybody uses partswork with tapping, but I do because it just goes really well together, and the tapping brings cortisol down in your body. So the cortisol is responsible for all negative emotions basically in your body. So this brings your whole physiological system into a healing state as opposed to survival mode. So when you're addressing something that actually puts you in survival mode, like which is connected to some level of trauma or distress,
Yeah.
you have to repattern your body. So right, what I want you to do, Bob, and like we don't actually have to go really deep for this to work. So that you can go as deep as you want. That there might be an inner child that pops up. If you think about your inner child when we're doing this, then it's relevant to kind of like let that flow and kind of be spoken about or expressed or whatever. But you can just do parts work kind of from your adult perspective. And then what will happen is your subconscious mind, either in this session or at a later date today or tomorrow or for the rest of the week, your subconscious mind will bring you insights, epiphanies. You'll make connections just naturally. You won't be thinking about it. You'll be in the shower or something, or you'll be swimming or cooking, and then suddenly you'll just have a realization. And that's how this works. It's just a natural form of healing. Your subconscious mind knows what you need and who you are and how you process, so it just kind of unlocks something, and then the shift is like very gentle. So what I want you to do first, well, actually, what I wanted to say first is that, everybody on the planet has some level of self-sabotage or procrastination. And a lot of people think that there's a part of us, if we're self-sabotaging or procrastinating, there's a part of us that is kind of against us, or is like an internal, critic or something like that. There aren't actually any parts of our consciousness that are against us. If there's a part that feels like it's against us, it's a protector. It's a protector part. So there will be lots of little Bobs and lots of little Jens that are kind of stuck in our system that feel like they need to stop us doing things that are powerful, because there could be consequences for being powerful, for being outspoken, for being different, whatever the thing is. So yeah, so self-sabotage, there isn't actually a saboteur. There'll be a frightened child that is being a protector, and that's kind of what we're going to go looking for, but we might not actually need to get to the child. We might just stick with the adult. So the reason that all of this happens is that our consciousness splits and we have fragmented children, because we weren't allowed to be who we were when we were kids. So what I want you to do, Bob, you've identified the parts. Now, this part of you, Decay, we're going to call him. We want you to take on this part of you as if you are like a method actor. So imagine that the growth side of things doesn't exist. Imagine that your whole totality of your consciousness is decay, which is a very depressing kind of outlook. But for the purposes of this, I want you to imagine you've got two Bobs in front of you. One of them is decay, one of them is growth. So to start with, we're going to pretend that that growth isn't there at all. And we're going to just go to decay, and we're going to honor this part of you as if it is the fullness and wholeness of you. And we're going to let this part of you just talk, express, like whatever you need to do. Like if anybody wants to try this at home, you can write, you can film yourself, you can shout, you can scream, you can cry, whatever you need to do. So you've already told me a little bit about decay. You can talk about decay in the third person. He feels this, he feels that. Or if it feels right to you, you can be in his body, looking through his eyes, saying, I, when I'm this part, I'm this, I'm that. So whatever you feel kind of most comfortable with. So I'm just going to be quiet now, and I'm going to let you just say everything that you need to say. And try and keep tapping if you can.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a rhythm going with the tapping because I'm a musician. But I'm so tired of being tired. it's really hard for me to just be. So many things that I have in my life that could bring me joy, but I can't reach them. It's just feel horribly stuck. Oh, all of a sudden my life is grey. Where have all the colours gone? Where is the sunshine? It's just started to rain heavily. That's typical. I have an inkling of an idea that I am creator. And yet, if that's true, then why have I created all this tiredness, this stuckness, this apathy? Oh. No, I thought I'd got rid of all my childhood trauma. Obviously not. I still don't love myself enough. Why? Why? Why don't I love myself enough? I know I'm okay, and that's enough. That's a big question. Why don't I still love myself enough? And it just comes back to my earliest recollection is that I am unworthy. I'm unworthy. And that's not true. Yeah. Oh. 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 Sorry, Skipper. I've just
Brilliant.
freaking.
Your beautiful skipper in the background, he was like really concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm freaking him out.
That was really beautiful, Bob. And like, you know, I loved the yawning and you know, the shouting, the shaking. It's all perfect.
Yeah.
Does it feel to you like that part of you has anything left to say, or did that kind of feel like a complete job? And there's no right or wrong. And it's perfect that there was a question, because all trauma is a lack of resolution.
Yeah. You know, I've spent, I don't know what are you now, the last 30 years going back and revisiting and reliving my childhood and oh, I thought that I'd excised all these demons. But obviously, there's still a little one hiding in a cupboard somewhere.
Yeah, the thing is, you probably have been to most of the places you need to go, but there's layers and layers and layers. And you know how much progress you've made like over the years. And I don't know whether there's always going to be layers, like, which, I don't want to sound depressing, but like, we need to love ourselves to just enough to keep going and to keep looking, because life does get better and kind of keeps opening up, like, the more you look. So
The
what
way I look at it is, until I woke up, I barely loved me at all anyway, which is probably why I was always putting myself in harmful situations. From the work I've done, me, myself and I, we get along okay, but I still don't love myself enough. But if there is a destination in my journey, it will be to reach a state of total unconditional love for everything. So to look back at where I've came from and to look at where I am now, I think I feel that I've made amazing progress, but there's still a long way to go.
Yeah. Okay, right, what we're going to do now is we're going to tap through all the EFT points. So all you've got to do, I'm going to say some of this stuff out loud, and I want you to repeat after me. So if you do what I do and say what I say, so if you tap on the side of your hand, just underneath your little finger, and then we're going to tap on some points on the face and body. So all you've got to do is follow me on the points and just repeat after me.
Yeah, just hang on a minute.
Okay.
Sorry, love. One of my addictions is calling. I'm a bugger, aren't I? Oh, have another cough.
That's the blessing about Zoom, isn't it? You can get away with it.
I think what I love about Zoom is it's almost as good as being in the same room, because to maximize the healing, it's being able to capture more of the energy that people radiate, and being able to look into somebody's eyes. Just, yeah, that's like the icing on the cake. Right, so I've got to get tapping.
Yeah, so just tap on the side of your hand, and then we're going to go to some of the points on the face and just the upper body. So it's a bit like Simple Simon Says. But this kind of moves, like the energy that you've just expressed was amazing. So we want to get that moving a bit more. So we're just going to do one tapping round, and then we're going to go to the other part. But the amount of yawning you're doing is brilliant. Like, this is perfect. So just repeat after me. There's something holding me back.
There's something holding me back.
I've got all these wonderful opportunities in my life.
I've got all these wonderful opportunities in my life.
I'm not using them.
I'm not using them.
My mum was always beating me.
I was always beating me.
And I decided that she doesn't love me.
I decided that she didn't love me.
And it feels like I'm unworthy of a joyful life.
And I feel as if I'm unworthy of a joyful life.
It's pissing me off that I can't benefit from this wonderful stuff.
It's really pissing me off that I can't benefit from all this wonderful opportunities that I've created in my life.
And this rotting carcass needs clearing out.
Yeah, yeah, this rotting carcass needs throwing out. I can't stand the stench anymore.
I'm so tired of being tired.
I'm so I'm so tired of being tired.
It's really hard for me to just be.
Yeah. Ah, it's really hard for me to just be. And I love being.
Just tap on your eyebrow points, just where your eyebrows start. So many things I have in my life that could bring me joy.
So many things I have in my life that could bring me joy.
And then the side of your eye just there. But I can't reach them.
But I can't reach them.
All of a sudden, my life is grey.
Yeah. All of a sudden, my life is grey.
And then just tap under your eye. I feel horribly stuck.
I feel horribly stuck.
And then under your nose with just one hand. Where have all the colours gone?
Where have all the colours gone?
Where,
Long time.
where is the sunshine?
Where is the sunshine?
It's raining heavily.
Yeah, it's right. Ah, it's
And then
raining heavily.
just tap under your mouth, just with one hand. That's typical.
Yeah, that's bloody typical.
I have an inkling of an idea that I'm a creator.
I have an inkling of an idea that I am, a creator.
I
Is
am.
that? Yeah, I am creator.
And then just tap on your collarbone on both sides, just there, just above your collarbone. But if that's true, why have I created all this tiredness?
But if that's true, why have I created all this tiredness? What is the lesson I need to learn from this event that I've created?
All this tiredness and stuckness and apathy.
All this tiredness, stuckness, and apathy.
And then just tap underneath your arm. I still don't love myself enough.
I feel that. Yeah, I still don't love myself enough.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Why?
Why, you bastard?
Why don't I love myself enough?
Oh, why don't I love myself enough?
I
Ow.
know I'm okay, and that's enough.
I know I'm okay. And that's enough.
My earliest recollection was that I'm unworthy.
My earliest, yeah, yeah. My earliest recollection is that I was unworthy.
And then just tap on top of your head.
Makes a hollow sound.
But I still don't love myself enough.
But I still don't love myself enough.
There's a little demon in the cupboard.
There's a little demon in the cupboard.
So just have a big deep breath. And then just tap again on that central point there and just relax a little bit. So that was brilliant. You've moved a lot of energy there.
I've just got to let Skipper out.
Okay, sure.
So Oh, we go for a pee, Skipper. Come on, we've got to be quick. Auntie Jenny's waiting. Come on. I'm back.
Okay. How did you find that experience so far? We're going to go to the other part in a minute, but how did you find that?
Well, I don't think I'd stopped discharging throughout that whole exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it ties in with what I was saying about, you know, reevaluation counselling process.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so rather than it being a re-traumatization, which, you know, sometimes people find therapy a re-traumatization, you're actually being productive here because it, you know, obviously you're a person who really believes in self-expression as a healing modality. And this is a way of working somatically with your body. So let's go to the other part. So we've had a word with the decay aspect of your consciousness. Now we're going to have a word with the growth aspect of your consciousness. So if you imagine the decay and the growth in front of you, they might actually visually, kind of in your mind's eye, like seem really different. You know, one might be standing, one might be sitting, they might be wearing different clothes, they might be a completely different vibe, you know, whatever it is. So all you've got to do here is, again, just take on this part, growth, as if it's the totality of you, the fullness and wholeness of you. And that decay part is not a thing at all. And I'm going to make notes again on how you express that part of you. So just go for it when you're ready, Bob.
Well, the image that springs to mind, and it fits in with some of the work that I've done on tall ships. I love the ocean. Is that picture of Russell Crowe on the bowsprit in that movie Master and Commander? You know, like standing there, braving the elements. You know, and I find that really, that's inspirational because all my life I've always walked my own road. Like I've never had a boss in my life. I've had employers, but never a boss, except for Mum. I think Mum was the only boss because she held the power of life and death over me. But no longer. So I am master and commander of this life that I do create, and I take full responsibility for it. And I don't have to do anything to justify living an abundant and blissful life simply by just being is enough. I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to achieve anything. Just be. Just be and be kind. Uh, yeah. Ah, my commitment to creating joy. What I radiate, I create. So consciously choose to radiate joy. Sometimes that takes so much energy, for there's such negativity around me. It's so hard to avoid. I think the only way I could avoid it is to live on a deserted island somewhere with. Oh. Oh, oh. Hmm. And there's so many beautiful signs in my life about my own growth and my own journey. Like synchronicity is such a common event in my life, and I love it. It's like I don't have to plan the next step. It's like when the student is ready, the teacher arrives, and just trusting in that process. And if I have a need for something, I've only just got to think it, and like what did they say? Ask the universe and then duck. And that's really magical. That's really magical. When I'm just looking over at the wall and this is so, I keep forgetting to read this, but I'll read it now. Our greatest fear, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Well, actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Marion Williamson.
What beautiful words.
Yeah. Yeah. I keep forgetting I used to have a habit of that would be the first thing that I notice in the morning or whenever I woke up. And I've got out of the habit. And I think I'll get back into that habit because it's so true.
Yeah. Maybe move it to a different place because then it will catch your eye more because it's a change.
Stick it on my forehead.
That's perfect, Bob. Does it feel like that part of you has anything else to say? Or does it feel complete?
Amazingly, I'm lost for words, which is very uncharacteristic of me, as you know, as you well know.
Right. What this is so beautiful. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna tap this growth part just to get that moving and to anchor that in. And then we're gonna have both parts meet each other if
Oh,
possible.
bugger.
So all kinds of things can happen when your parts meet. And there's no right or wrong, and there's no good or bad. It just is, it just is. So start on the side of your hand again, just underneath your little finger. And just repeat after me. This growth part of me
This growth part of me
is a bit like Russell Crowe,
is a bit like Russell Crowe,
braving the elements.
braving the elements.
All my life, I have always walked my own road.
All my life, I've always and always walked my own road.
I've never had a boss except for my mum.
I've never had a boss except for my mum.
She held the power of life and death.
Yeah, she certainly held the power of life and death for me as a child. Well, that's how it felt anyway.
And now I am the commander.
And now I am master and commander.
I don't have to do anything to justify living an abundant and blissful life.
I don't have to do anything to justify living an abundant and blissful life.
Simply by just being is enough.
Simply by just being is enough.
And then on your eyebrow point, I don't have to prove anything.
I don't have to prove anything.
I don't have to do anything.
I don't have to do anything.
Just be and be kind.
Just be and be kind.
And then the side of your eye. My commitment is to create and radiate joy.
My commitment is to create and radiate joy.
But sometimes it takes so much energy.
Yeah, but sometimes it takes so much energy.
Under your eye. It's so hard to avoid negativity all around me.
It's so hard to avoid all this negativity around me.
Under your nose. There's so many beautiful signs in my life.
There are so many beautiful signs in my life.
Under your mouth. All this synchronicity.
All this synchronicity.
I love it.
I love it. It's amazing.
I don't have to plan the next step.
I don't have to plan the next step.
When the student is ready, the teacher arrives.
Yeah. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Brilliant.
And I trust it.
And I totally trust in my own process.
On your collarbone on both sides. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
And who am I not to be a child of God?
And who am I not to be a child of God?
And then just tap under your arm.
That makes my man boob wobble. Sorry, that was on the side.
So this is the last bit. So I am liberating myself from my own fear.
I am liberating myself from my own fears.
Perfect. And then tap on top of your head. Have another big deep breath. And then just go back to that point there. Doing an amazing job of this, Bob. And I wouldn't be surprised like later today if you just need to have a kip. So a lot of people when they do any kind of tapping or any kind of consciousness work feel kind of tired, like drained, but usually in a good way.
Yeah, I've already started that process.
Yeah. So the idea of this process, so I'll let you just relax and I'll just say a few words just for a minute. The idea of this process is to not try and change either of the parts. We're not in fix-it mode. The idea is that we just want them to be there as they are, and we are the observers and the witnesses of the process. So we don't want to fix or change. They will actually start to evolve and change as we're witnessing and observing. So there's nothing actually for us to do. So for anybody at home that wants to try this process out, you might feel resistance to these parts. You might judge these parts. You might have negative emotion surface. You might feel angry. You might feel ashamed. You might feel frustrated. You might feel rejected, whatever the emotion is. The key is to let it be there. When you're tapping, you will move through the emotion. So sometimes if the emotion surfaces, it's just, an opportunity to be in it, and you're safe if it intensifies, because the more you allow yourself to be in it, even if it's intensified, you will pop out the other side. So just make sure that you keep tapping. So what we're going to do now, Bob, is we're going to see if these two parts of you would like to interact, and they might not. So the goal ultimately is for these parts to align. So that would look like these two parts kind of understanding each other. So sometimes when I do this, bearing in mind I do this with quite disconnected people, sometimes I do this a lot with veterans who are quite highly programmed people. Sometimes their parts hate each other, or sometimes the parts can't even access each other. They're kind of invisible to each other. Nothing's gone wrong if that's the case. It just is. It's just how your consciousness has split. So what I'm going to ask you to do, Bob, is tap and close your eyes, and then just imagine the two parts of you in front of you. So you've got the growth part of you, and you've got the decay part of you. And they probably appear to you as two separate Bobs. Does it feel to you like these two would like to interact? And it might seem obvious, it might not.
Well, I'm getting a positive from growth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting a negative from decay.
Okay.
I'm getting a feeling of doesn't want to say anything. It's like just a vacuum, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's present, but and so what I feel like from the growth, would like to say to decay, is thank you. Simply thank you for your presence in my life. And for the discomfort that you have brought into my life, and to the challenge that you have placed on my table. Because without the pain of this challenge and the pain of decay, I would not have the energy to add to my growth. So thank you, decay. You did a fine job. And thanks for the lesson.
Does it feel to you like decay is receiving that information?
Yeah.
What does he think about that? What's his vibe?
He almost smiled. Not quite, but it was a little Curling of the mouth.
Okay, so decay doesn't have to say anything, like, because ultimately we want both of these parts of you to feel in control, and we don't want them to feel that they have to do anything or be anything that they don't want to do. So sometimes if you're working with your inner children, you just let them go and hide behind the curtain. Or, just let them be
Mm,
over there. They don't have to talk to you. So it's all about just gentleness and softness. Does
mm.
it feel to you like Decay, with his half smile, would he like to say anything to Growth? But obviously he doesn't have to, and there's no pressure.
I just get a feeling of, this is from Decay, I just get a feeling of acceptance and validation.
That's beautiful, yeah. Yeah, the validation piece is perfect. And acceptance is such a powerful thing. Like, I actually think that acceptance is, on a par with forgiveness. I actually think that acceptance needs to come before forgiveness, because I'm not a normal therapist. Most therapists will try and take people to forgiveness as soon as possible, but I just don't think I don't think it works. I think acceptance has to come first, because if you've accepted that whatever happened happened, from there you can move into forgiveness. You can't jump over all that stuff, before you get there. I think that forgiveness happens as a result of healing, and it's a natural process, and you can't just go straight there.
Yeah,
Um,
well, in my own journey, when I was at the state where I hated my mum, when she told me her story about, and she had a really violent childhood too, it was like accepting that as her reality, that was her reality. But it also gave me the insight that yes, mum was doing her very, very best, but all she could do was dump on me what got dumped on her. So it's through accepting her reality and sharing our stories that I could move from anger through understanding back to love and forgiveness,
yeah,
to forgive her for all the terrors, the terror she brought into my life.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, for so many people, we spend majority of our lives like feeling unworthy and feeling like we weren't loved. But like, you know, if we're trying to receive love from a person that didn't have the capacity to do that because of what happened to them, we're we're on a never-ending road that isn't going to go anywhere. So all you've got is acceptance, but you can't go straight to acceptance. You have to go through all the anger, the blame, the shame, the hatred. You have to do all that stuff before you can see they couldn't have done it any other way. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
asking someone to teach you something that they haven't learned.
yeah.
It's impossible. So like,
But it was like, um, and again, this comes back to my number one mantra about, by sharing our stories, we help to heal each other. By sharing my truth, my story, my childhood with my mum, started the whole process. And then when she replied, I got that information back from her, So it's, and for me, and I don't like speaking for the we. I have no problem speaking to the collective, to the we, but I'll break that. For me, I think it's fairly safe to say that we're all victims of victims, and if you don't hand it back, you pass it on.
mm, yeah, that's so true. So we're pretty much at the end of the session, Bob. Does it feel like your two parts, decay and growth, does it feel like they need to say anything else or to do anything else? Like they might want to shake hands or have a hug, they might not. And we don't want to force anything. What feels like a kind of natural way to kind of draw this to a conclusion?
Well, Decay just turned his back and he's gone walkabout. It's just left the stage.
A
And walkabout.
Shakespeare play.
Well, like they do in Australia, you know, the tribal people. There comes a time in growth that the youngster would just go walkabout.
Yeah, I like that. I like the activeness of it. Does it feel to you like the two parts understand each other? Does growth understand decay? Does decay understand growth?
Ah, yeah, a very good question, and one that in recent weeks has been much on my mind. But what sprung to mind when you said that was like the best thing that Eckhart Tolle ever said, as far as I'm concerned, was totally let go of the need to understand anything. So I get a feeling of acceptance and a little feeling of reconciliation. At least they both know that they both exist now.
Yeah.
Which sets the stage for future dialogue.
Exactly. And I'm glad that you said that. So for anybody who wants to try this at home, this process of parts work, this is not an endedness. That we haven't, like, me and Bob have finished this session, but like this can go on for as long as you want it to. Like I would say leave it a couple of days at least, and then ask for these parts to come back again. You know, see how that situation is in your life. Like, am I allowing in the wonderful things that I've got here? Like, am I taking action on the stuff that I've kind of been pushing away? Like, see how that goes, how you feel about it, because it does take a few days for your energy to kind of like land. And then if you want to come back to these parts, come back to them from a completely different point of attraction. So they're going to be at a completely different place. They might feel similar, they might not feel anything like similar. Sometimes it feels like when you know that you've done a really good job of it, you might have needed to work on your parts like quite a few times. Sometimes it feels like you can't access that part, like it's invisible, or like the electric cord has been pulled out. Sometimes people say like it's either gone a bit fuzzy, like you can't kind of like see that part or access it, but the charge is gone. But obviously
So
there's
will there come a time when I have to grieve the death of decay?
quite possibly, yeah.
That was a pretty deep question, wasn't it?
I don't think there isn't any. Well, I mean, it's a surprisingly deep process. It's so simple. It's
Yeah,
so simple.
yeah.
But the effects of it are mega. And you know, that you might need to grieve that aspect of you. You might not. See how it goes. And it might be an immediate thing. It might just come later. So over the next few days, like you might need to cry, you might need to go to the edge of a cliff and do a primal scream or a shout. You might surface some emotion. You might just feel amazing. You might feel really different. Sometimes people feel a bit discombobulated after this and kind of a bit like the head spinning a bit. But anyway, I recommend like drink plenty of water, stay hydrated. You might need to sleep more or rest more. Get out into nature. Obviously, you're going to be grounding your feet on the ground because that's what you always do. But yeah, there's no right or
Sleep.
wrong way.
If I sleep anymore, I'll be in a bloody coma.
Well, yeah, I keep forgetting it's morning for you there, isn't it? So it's like different for me. But
I'm sleeping about 14 hours a day at the moment.
That's amazing. Well, that's because you're healing though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
doing like a boatload of processing. So that's so perfect. Thank you so much, Bob, for
Well,
being
thank you, darling.
a volunteer and not a victim at all. But I'll
I'm sovereign, not a victim. Sovereigns take action. Victims rely on hope.
yeah, no, it was honestly like I admire you for doing this on camera because you know, it's a bit of a loose cannon and you never know where things like this are going to go. But it was a beautiful experience to do that with you. And I'm sure that plenty of people are going to watch this and have a few shifts of consciousness themselves because you volunteered to do this. So thank you so much.
Well, what other people think of me is none of my bloody business. And my life is none of theirs. Hey.
Yeah. But sharing your
Hey.
story is going to help a lot of people.
And even David Icke still has buttons. And I can push them. Yeah. So there you go. I'm an awkward.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, darling. Do you want to stop the recording now? Do you want to chat
Yeah.
after the recording, or?
Yeah, I'll stop it now. Thanks, everyone. Bye.